I think it's 4 events we've had in VR since lockdown began now, and they've all been great. We've had great fun in them. But I think that the first one that we had almost a year ago with the 2 guys here, Liam and Oliver, was definitely one of the best, because we moved around, we toured an expansive cityscape in the Dublin Docklands that time. It was our first time doing one of the, what we call this walk and talk format. And for me, it was kind of a confirmation that it's a more interesting format for me for events in VR than your typical kind of talking heads event, which I don't know how many events you guys have been to in VR as a whole, but a lot of them tend to be replicating what we see in the real world. And, they're putting theaters or kind of stages and spaces that we see in the real world where we hold events. And for me, it's just not very interesting. It's a lot of talking heads, as I say, whereas the real affordances of VR is, immersive spaces like this, big expansive spaces, the ability to move around, interact, and just not feel like you're static. And that event a year ago in February of last year with the 2 guys was fantastic. It was really great fun. So I asked them, and they very kindly accepted to come back and give us an update and show us what they've been up to in AllSpace and VR in general. And it's not just one great space tonight or 2 or 3, but it's actually 4 fantastic worlds that we're going to visit in quick succession tonight. So lots of really interesting spaces for us to explore. And before I turn it over to the 2 guys, just a little bit of housekeeping on that note. We will be moving fast. We have a lot of space to explore. A few of you here are quite new to AllSpace, and I realize, the controls take a bit of time to get used to. Unfortunately, we don't have the time for tutorials, so you may get lost. So if you haven't already friended me by clicking on my avatar, please do so. I'll accept the friend request. And that way, if you get lost or you fall behind, I'll be able to say, come visit. I'll send you a message to say, come visit me. And if you accept that, you should get back to wherever we're gone to, okay? So you should be able to keep up, hopefully. The other note was, we're probably going to try and finish up by, around 8 o'clock on the hour, roughly. But you're obviously very welcome to keep exploring. We won't have a formal close, but you're very welcome to keep chatting and exploring for as long as you want to, okay? So I hope you have a great time tonight. And thanks again so much for coming, folks. It's great. All right, guys, over to you.
Cheers. Thank you. I was just wondering if anyone, I'm Ollie, by the way. And I was just wondering if anyone had joined us on the last visit through Dublin that we did in AltSpace VR. Was anyone there for that? We got one. That's cool. Okay. Very good. Very good. So the reason for the last one, or basically there was a hackathon in a 3D hack in Dublin held in, when was it, 2019? And they released a 3D model of central Dublin and the Docklands, and so we did our last sort of virtual field trip around that model. And the reason that we did it, as James said, is we got the chance to explore a kind of geographic scale location, and we had people coming in from the US, I think, and other places to join us for that. So it was really nice to meet new people. And Gareth and I did a project around that called Ground Truthing and Virtual Field Trips, and we got a paper out. And really what we were interested in was engaging community members and trying to provide means for them to be able to create VR spaces with us. And we gave a process, a photogrammetry process. And all that really means is you can go with your mobile phone and you can take pictures and then use open source software that will combine those images to form a 3D model that you can then bring into an environment like this. And Gareth's going to show us some example of that later. And after that, we're going to look at another model of Dublin that's different to the one that we saw last time. We'll look at a space that Gareth's created, and he might tell us more in a second. We'll then go to a large 3D model of central London, and we'll go and visit the Shard, and we'll be near the Tate Gallery. And then finally, we're going to go to a really detailed photogrammetric scan of a part of London. So you can see the potential for realism there. But was there anything you wanted to say, Gareth?
Just to say that if you didn't come on the walking tour last year, it's not a big deal. But the project is open source, so we look at using models that don't come with a price tag. Often the models belong to other people, and it's really important to just acknowledge that some of the worlds that we'll be showing you are the product of a lot of effort from others. And it's an opportunity for us to showcase the work that they've done and have provided for free. And there's a whole community around the world building in Altspace, but there's also a wider community of people that are creating 3D models from the photogrammetrical processes that we described last year, and as we described in our paper and workshop over the summer last year. And hopefully we can maybe sign a few of you up to encourage you to help you along creating your own worlds that you might want to share with us next year.
I guess just as a last comment before we head off, so I'm Oliver Dawkins. I'm currently a researcher at UCL in the Connected Environments Lab, and at the moment I'm creating control rooms for managing large-scale construction projects, but it's all with 3D building information models and that sort of thing. So it's a bit of a departure, and I haven't been in Altspace for a while. So it'll be nice to have a wander around.
Yeah, things have changed drastically since 2019, basically for us, not only in employment, but in the world in general. But both Oliver and I have since moved on from our employers together in Maynooth, and we now collaborate across the Irish Sea between Trinity College Dublin, where I work for the vSense project, looking at virtual reality and how people use virtual reality creatively. And as Oliver said, he's moved into a different project again, and we still find common ground, I think, Oliver, and we still manage to collaborate.
We're still in VR,
and we're still in VR, quite importantly. Yeah. And it's gaining momentum, I think, given the COVID-19 lockdown situation, that there are more people signed up for this event than there were last year, and there's more people in VR than there were last year, and you know the social side of virtual reality is expanding, and I think it was definitely a good opportunity for us to revisit this, James, and to look at where things have come from and potentially where they're going in the future as well.
Yeah, well, it's
cool.
Great to have you back, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll head off. But hopefully, what we want to do is encourage you all to talk with each other. At certain points, we'll stop and just introduce where we are and talk a little bit about the models that we're looking at. But otherwise, it's really today's all about exploration. Don't go too far because you will get lost. Be careful where you teleport, and yeah, we'll head off. Yeah. Okay, guys.
Yeah,
let's go.
Our first teleport to Dublin. Let's go to Dublin, guys.
Let's go.
You would need to get you an umbrella, Oliver.
I know, I do, or a flare gun.
Okay, I didn't do a head count. There's a lot of people. Right, I guess it takes a little bit longer for the different headsets to get into the world, but fortunately Altspace now have a loading bar that tells you exactly how many megabytes are waiting to be loaded, which is a recent addition, which is pretty cool. We recommend that you use tethered headsets in these worlds because they are quite large, and some of them you can't visit if they haven't specifically been enabled for mobile VR. But the worlds that we'll be visiting today are, but we still recommend that you use a tethered system just for stability and a bit of robustness in terms of the worlds that we're visiting. So this model is belongs to AccuCities. The model is available for free on their website. You have to sign up with them, so it costs you a little bit of data with regards to your email and potentially what you're using it for. But at all times, you know, I like to include links back to the models, because what I want to use the model for might be different from what you might want to use the model for. And the other thing to note about this model is the addition of audio. So the sounds that you're hearing are sounds from the streets of Dublin. So I went out with my field recorder, kept within my 5 kilometers, I might add, so there was no law breaking happening. And I went down to the corner here and basically recorded the city and added that as an audio object to the model. So let's maybe go for a little walk, shall we? A little bit of a walk and talk. If you have any questions, you can fire away. You can jump on the trees. Those of you that are in the desktop version can press F to teleport. And you can hold down the shift key to move faster as well. So there's a quick tutorial. So if you've never been to Dublin, this is the Custom House area, and to our left is the IFSC. Connolly Station is behind that, and Bus Aris is directly behind me.
Are many of you guys from Ireland, or are you from all over? Have we got anyone from the US here? No hands.
If you're on desktop, you can't put your hand on.
Maybe you shuffle from left to right.
Oh yeah, shake your head. Also, you have to get up close if you want to speak. Yep, so you can hop from tree to tree.
That's kind of why we like these models. Just because you can start to explore the world in a different way. So I can get up on top of here, I can start bouncing around across all the rooftops. Try and keep someone in sight so you don't get lost.
Yeah. So you can explore the city quite differently.
These models they're produced for urban planning purposes, but typically the way people would look at these models is from above, and that's the reason why the ground level isn't too detailed, but the rooftops are actually quite heavily detailed. And if you start jumping around on the rooftops, if you're in the VR headset, you have to be careful that you don't give yourself vertigo.
Yes, if you step off the edge, you fall in real time. And it can be quite unnerving.
Oh yeah, I don't want to do that. But there's I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bit of shimmering across there. That's just an artifact of the 3D modelling process that they've employed in this. So there's two 3D faces occupying the same space. That's why it shimmers, because the computer doesn't know quite which one to render on top. And that's just one of the things that you sometimes get with these 3D models. They're created for a certain purpose, to be viewed from a certain angle. And so maybe when you explore the model in a different way, like we're doing in VR at the street level, you see things that the modeler doesn't see.
And I think
hope no one's talking and we can't hear them.
You have to get up close to us to ask us a question. But this, as we move through the different models, you'll see that the level of detail is different for each of them. The manner in which the models have been produced is different, and the the number of modalities that you're engaged with will also be different. Because we have models from areas of the world that we're not allowed to travel to at the moment. We don't exactly have all of the bases covered with regards to the audio soundscape, and I think that this is a good situation where you can just take in the ambience of the 3D environment, of being virtually in Dublin and seeing and hearing maybe a familiar or an unfamiliar sight. If you're here in the real world, you'd be dodging the Lewis and the traffic, but if we took away the sound, you lose a level of immersion that you just don't experience when you're, like Oliver was saying, when you're looking from the top down upon a model. It's not the same experience of being embodied as a first-person avatar within it and hearing the sounds of the city. And the hustle and bustle of just people in general is something that you might notice when you're visiting other worlds in outspace that are less populated. That there's no people, there's no weird, coy, blinky eyes looking at you, as giving you side eye as you travel through these silent
you might notice that the avatars are they kind of stare at each other. If you move around, the eyes kind of follow you a little bit, which can be disconcerting. But
future of VR, eye tracking.
So I think the sound definitely adds something to this, though. We've got other spaces where we don't have the sound in, so you'll be able to compare. The previous Dublin model that we used last year had internal spaces, so one place that you could go inside was the Dublin Convention Centre. You could go up to the top floor and look out across the river. And we'll get a sense of that maybe, a larger expanse of space when we're going to go to the London model as well. But what's kind of missing here is it's awesome to come and be able to run around with people, and we can do stuff like virtual tag or that kind of thing. Maybe not right now, because I do know that we'll lose some of you. But we want to bring more interactivity into these spaces. I don't know, is anyone a developer here at all? Any alt space? Awesome. So, like, I don't know, I haven't had a chance to develop any MREs, which are kind of the way that you bring interactivity into these spaces. So I'd be really interested to hear your ideas later as we move through about what kind of interactions you think we could build into these spaces. But another thing, and we're going to see this in the next space that we go to, bringing in those photogrammetric models can really add a sense of being there, like, and just an interesting juxtaposition of seeing a very realistic object in these otherwise very abstract spaces.
Yeah, let's go and check out the Hungry Tree then, and see where our photograph.
You go through.
Yeah. So everybody step into the teleport. Okay. So this world is a bit different from the other world that we were in as much as the last world was a very literal translation of the world, that it was a model of a city, and it was like measurably accurate in a sense that you could probably take a map of the world and overlay it with that model and see that it actually is quite accurate in terms of its representation of the custom house. What we've done here is an extension of some of the work that we were doing last year with regards to using photogrammetry, and also extending that to world building in general in a more creative sense, and blurring the lines between the real world and the digital. So this is a photogrammetry reconstruction of a place in Dublin called the Hungry Tree, and it's a pretty unremarkable tree, other than over the 100 or so years that it's been growing, it's consumed basically this park bench, which makes it quite interesting. Now, capturing and reconstructing trees in virtual worlds is pretty messy. unless you're using procedural building. And what we've got here is a blend between a procedurally built tree placed on top of the trunk of a tree from the real world. And what the creator did was they walked around the tree, taking pictures of the tree, and then they used the world building process that Oliver and I put together last year to reconstruct that space. And the motivation behind the reconstruction of this space was to create a world in which you could meet other people and talk to them about your experiences of COVID-19, where you could collectively get together with other people and talk about, say, open space areas where you used to be able to go that you might not be able to go to anymore. And it was sort of a co-creative arts practice approach to world building where people would get together and collaborate. There was a lot of conversation and repeated meetings to design and create these worlds based upon, like I say, based upon real world locations, but with a sort of creative storytelling arts twist. And I think it turned out pretty well, this one. The tree model is fairly detailed. You can see the bench being eaten, but it also has the weird anomalies that the photogrammetry process also incorporates. So it's a bit blobby and weird looking and alien in other ways. And of course the tree, although it's a representation of a tree, it's not, you can see that it's not a tree. It's just something else again. So it's really interesting how worlds can be built together with other people for not only representing the real world for, say, I want planning permission to build a skyscraper on the Docklands. I also want to invite people into social VR to do social constructivist type learning exercises where I can impart my skills with you and you can learn how to build your own world. And as we go through, again, you'll see that juxtaposed with regards to the scale and expanse of the worlds that we can build with CAD and BIM and all of these other processes that are available. But I think that the storytelling, Oliver, kind of speaks to our original sort of motivations behind the teaching and learning behind the process of creating a 3D representation.
Yeah, so we were working, Gareth and I were working, oh, can you hear me? Yeah. Let's see. Let's have a go. Have I got my yeah, I've got my megaphone on. So the reason that Gareth and I are collaborating was because we were working on the Building City Dashboards project at Maynooth University. They were building the Dublin City Dashboard and the Cork City Dashboards, which provide a range of data that are open data provided by the cities, but then they present all of that information in one space. The idea being that they make it available to members of the public. And as Gareth was saying, there's an issue potentially when you're presenting abstract information, is that even if you have very easy to read charts and graphs, you know, some people benefit from having a narrative around the information that they're seeing because they might not be familiar with the charts and graphs and so forth. And that's really what got us interested in having people share their stories with us and finding ways that they could bring things that matter to them into the virtual environment that we could then share with others. So that's really where the feeling for the project came from. Like, yeah, let's go to London. Is there a teleport around here? By the way, anybody, if you've lost your friend, someone asked me about a friend that they'd lost. I wasn't able to bring them back in. But James in the red shirt, if you can ask him, they may be on his list and he might be able to bring them back in, okay? So that's James over there. And what we'll do in the meantime, we'll head to London, and I'll tell you about the model over there.
Has anyone fallen in the river yet? It's pretty tough to get out if you fall in.
Ace. So I don't know if you guys know where you are, but you're on Southwark Bridge at the moment. Over in that direction is the Millennium Bridge, and it goes to the Tate Gallery over there, the Tate Modern. Next to the Tate Modern is the Globe Theatre, and then we have Cannon Street Station and the railway bridge in front of us over on this side, heading over to the Shard, which you can't miss. Just past where this 3D model ends would be London Bridge, again in that direction. So what we're, again, this is a model that was provided by AccuCities, and because it's got a Creative Commons license, we can bring it into AltSpace VR and explore it. Again, it's a model that's really designed for kind of urban planners, and they look at it sort of from the top down, usually in some computer application, or maybe they go and 3D print the model. But again, what's really nice about it is while it lacks some detail at street level, if you go up onto the rooftops, which I encourage you to try and do, it's really highly detailed, and you can kind of balance on the edge of the rooftops and sort of jump around and play tag and that sort of thing. And it's there's people that actually do that sort of stuff for real. They're called urban explorers or rooftoppers, and they're people that are interested in urban environments or industrial environments, and kind of often engage in quite dangerous activities. But the cool thing is that we can do that in VR and none of us will get hurt. We might just get really dizzy. So what we're really going to do is I'm happy for you to ask me questions as we walk. Once we get into that area, I suggest seeing if you can jump on the rooftops, have a wander round, and we'll all try and meet up at the Shard. Okay, so the aim is that we'll go over to the Shard over there. In front of the Shard, there's like a escalator stairs, and we can all meet at the escalator stairs. So, of course, if you want to stick close to us, please do. Otherwise, enjoy yourselves, and we'll try and make it to the Shard in about 10 to 15 minutes. Does that sound right? Cool. So, by all means, come with me. I think James is trying to say something.
I said that's perfect.
Cool. No worries. That's ace. All right, guys. I'll try and walk slowly, but please, if you want to, come and ask questions. And you can speak to each other. It's just you need to stand quite close to each other. It's so weird, people floating around without their feet on the ground.
That's pretty much how I live my life, Oliver. Oliver, I've put the teleporter in a nice central location here. So if you do get lost, you can get back here. So just just south of the bridge, is it?
Okay, good man.
Yeah. So if you do get lost, you can find your way to Leake Street. We'll try and do a teleport in the meantime, but if you could get yourselves to the Shard, that would also be cool. Good.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit of rooftopping to be done here. So those of you that are on the desktop, you press F, and you can teleport on top of trees and onto the onto the roofs that way.
What I realised is we really need this flare gun. If a developer can develop a flare gun for Space VR, then I could shoot up. I'm on the rooftops. Hi there.
Yeah, I made it up over this way. This little tree down here seemed to do the trick. So I can hop from here
I love it.
onto the roof.
I'm going to try and get up higher where I can see everyone and take some photos. I like the chaos. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. I can see a group of you hopping around on the roofs. It's ace.
Do we need a disclaimer? Oliver Dawkins
So this is a only in VR, my friend.
only in VR.
Oh, this is so much fun.
It's kind of eerie how quiet it is on the rooftops. You'd expect it to be louder.
We need to get some more sound in, don't we?
Yeah.
Try and get on these rooftops. I got a feeling I'm going to end up being the one who gets lost and is the last one there.
The one person that should know London.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big jump. Whew.
Oh yeah. I'm getting vertigo now. I'm hanging out on the on the chimneys, and I'm not feeling too proud.
Give us your best Dick Van Dyke.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, can we make that? Oh, just about.
Ace. Phil, how's everyone doing?
Oh, there are people there. People have made it.
Excellent. Good stuff. Hopefully easy to get lost at street level.
We didn't lose everybody.
So, like, I'd say jumping around on the rooftops like this is a once in a lifetime experience, right? Unless it's your job.
is Fred Dibner a thing in Ireland? Don't know if people get that reference.
You'll have to explain, mate.
Oh, he was a steeplejack from the north of England. Fred Dibner, Frank Dibner. And he basically made BBC TV shows about steeplejacking.
You'll probably have to explain steeplejacking, mate.
Steeplejacking. People who used to climb to the top of chimneys. They put like the earth straps on tall buildings. Chimney repairs. I guess it's a forgotten skill.
So this is the Shard. We're very close to where London Bridge would be. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to manage to climb up the side of the Shard. There might be somewhere in the model where you can get a little bit of purchase and just get up the side, but we haven't found it yet. So by all means, feel free to have a go. Would like to get up the top of there. That would be immense. Someone's doing pretty well over there. Although I want to be where those guys are.
I think I've found a way, but it's cheating.
Where I am. Oh, you're flying. Yeah, so sadly, I think flying is a privilege that is reserved for me and Gareth. I'm not sure. Can we let everyone fly?
Oh, I'm not sure how to set that up. I think you can, but it's in one of the settings.
We don't have the skills, do we, in here? Hang on, I'm going to have to get a photo of him.
The Ascension.
Where are you? You're ridiculous, man. But do feel we do have one place to visit after this. Good man. Come back down to earth, you.
I was worried it wasn't working. Oh. So here we are in Leake Street, another area of London. This is an open source model, so again, it's not one of ours. It's one that we sourced from Sketchfab.
Yeah, there's a guy called Art Fletch on Twitter, and he's a photographer in London, and he uses a similar process to the one that Gareth was using with the tree earlier. But he's taken his camera all the way down Leake Street and all the way back. This is under the railway arches, and yeah, as you can see, this is a lower quality version of the scan, so it was possible to bring it in. But even so, you can see masses of detail on the graffiti, and I just think it's totally cool.
Yeah, it's a great scan. And it's a great way to capture art that would not necessarily be a piece of art that would hang around for a long time. You know, it's kind of in a state of flux. I know a lot of this would be competition sort of quality street art, but someone comes along with a tag stick and writes their name over it, and then somebody else does, and then it's lost or it's augmented and changed forever. At least in this way, you can revisit a snapshot in time to see what Leake Street looked like on a specific day. And then next year, if the scan is done again, you'll be able to see any updates, changes, and new pieces of art that have been added.
Yeah, and so this was done with a DSLR, I think, but you can do scans with just your regular camera phone.
Photogrammetric scanning.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so cool being able to just bring loads of people into the environment.
Yeah, with a DSLR, it's better. Camera phone won't have the capacity for large scale stuff. It's mostly single objects because it won't catch a lot of the texture information as detailed.
Yeah, we tend to decimate the models as well before we start compressing textures. That's something that I've learned as well through the process.
Yeah.
That the
I
mesh
do.
itself.
Yep, the mesh gets complex. I do the same thing, but I throw it into Oculus Medium and then adjust the colors in there and then re-export it.
Oh, cool. That's a good tool to know about.
It's good.
Yeah, so it goes all the way down, top to bottom. We're outside the vaults. The vault's doors is closed and have been for a long time. I think that's my favorite piece.
Oh man, this piece is so rad. So I don't know, I mentioned earlier if there were developers, if you had any ideas of things that you'd like to see, like interactions or objects in these environments. One thing that I was wondering whether it's possible is whether you can make a flare gun for Alt-Space VR. So when I'm bopping around London, if I get lost, I can pop up a flare and someone can come and rescue me, or we could come and find you guys or something like that.
So we'll probably put up a bunch of links on the meetup page so you guys can check out our work and the different projects that we're working on. I've put a couple of links into the worlds that we visited already. We weren't really sure of the running order, but you can access the worlds that we visited today via the meetup page. The links are available there. You can also add them to your favorites bar if you know how to do that as well, and come and visit them. I'm aware that we're coming up to the 8 o'clock mark, and as we said, we're not actually going to do an official closing, but I did put a portal back to Dublin at the end of the tunnel here, so that you can revisit and restart and sort of experience the different worlds yourselves this evening. If we went too fast, or if you got a bit lost along the way. But it's been great to see so many people out this evening. I don't think I've been in a crowded space like this for a while.
Yeah, it's been nice.